talking to ourselves. So the spirits really want to talk about talking to ourselves, which, you know, in modern society is deemed to be a rather worrisome thing, you know, something we really shouldn't be doing. But again, referring to the human, please refer to the human box video, is that we are energy first and the human box is secondary. The human box kind of sits in on top of us after the energy. It's milliseconds behind, but it's after the effect, if you like. It's not, we're energy first. So given that we are energy, we have lots of parts operating all of the time, like this kind of clockwork automaton that's very finely tuned with our energy all clicking away, clicking away, clicking away, clicking away. And so also, if we're taking things from a healthy point of view with our energy, and also please look at the video on the wrong mother, when we've put in place the right mother for ourselves and we're treating ourselves with love in what we do in all aspects of our life, we're beginning to bring self-love into all aspects of our life, whether we're wolf or human type of vibration. We're starting to bring love into our life, and then we're starting to bring back our female and male child rather than banish them and saying mean things about them and keeping them separate and apart. Once we stop doing all of that, it's actually incredibly helpful. We've got this little triangle going on now of good, loving mother. Well, we're not going to go over there and do that this time because that will actually hurt us again. It always hurts us. We're not going to go there and do that again. We're not going to keep repeating that, no. The mother helps us say, come on, let's find something nice for ourselves that we can do that doesn't involve us going in that direction. Perhaps with those toxic people, or in that toxicity, or in that eating that bad food, or getting drunk, or taking drugs, and that kind of thing. So all of those temptations, let's look after our children, our male and female. Our child doesn't need to go and run and grab for that because of the lack of love within. We'll show our children love within, so they'll stay with us, within ourselves, within our core. So talking to ourselves between this kind of magic triangle between the mother and the male and the female child is actually hugely, massively helpful. You know, in fact, it's the not talking to ourselves. And bizarrely, in a way, I think this is quite bizarre that we outsource this. You know, yeah, good friends are fantastic, you know, someone to talk to, someone to confide in, talk about our fears, etc., etc. But why the hell aren't we talking to ourselves about our fears and our worries and our concerns? Because at the end of the day, with the best will in the world, a friend is coming from their own perspective, even a really good friend. They're coming from their own reality. Only we are within our own true reality. So something that might seem silly to someone else. Oh, don't do that. That's silly. Don't do it. It's silly. It's a silly thing. Oh, right. Okay. Right. Well, I suppose that is really silly. It's not silly. It's not silly. It really upsets us, kind of thing. You know. So really, we're outsourcing this discussion, this general communication and discussion. We're doing it with someone else who, I mean, some people may have a vested interest just in themselves, you know, and may not be supportive, but still we do it because it's better than, we kind of think it's better than the option of being alone. Because we won't talk to ourselves, we will say, well, the only other option is being alone. It isn't. There's always a third way. There's always another option, and that option is to talk within our children. Our male and female are kind of real little people within us that we treat, generally speaking, on and off quite badly. You know, that we've learned to dismiss, tell them to shut up, go away, delude ourselves about certain things that we don't want to look at, don't want to face, you know, keep them apart. This lack of conversation, it's like conversing with anybody. Sides that are even at war with each other, there are always other sides that will seek dialogue. And this is the fundamental. We need to seek dialogue. We need to talk. And yet we don't do it, first of all, with ourselves, which strikes me as pretty bizarre, really. Yeah, okay, it looks pretty bad if we're out in the street talking to ourselves, and it tends to be those people who have really become mentally unbalanced, yes, or perhaps drunkards that are talking to themselves. So that's the association that we have with it. It doesn't need to be that way, though, actually. But of course, that's a very pacifying thing that they're actually doing. They've knocked out the rights or wrongs of something, the social norm. They've knocked out the rights or wrongs of something. In a sense, they've lost that sense of that. And it's actually quite a pacifying and calming thing that they're actually doing with themselves, as this talking to themselves. You know, talking to the different parts, bizarrely. You know. But we don't need to do it out loud, of course. You know, we can internalize, but have a very. And if we're on our own, though, it is much more helpful to really join hands with our male and female parts, which really cohabit. They do exist in different sides of ourselves, in opposite sides, if you like. And so, like, you've got the male was sitting on my left, which will then align with my right side, which is my tonal and my logical brain side. And my feminine will exist in my right hand, which aligns to my left side and my more creative and internalizing side. And so, of course, putting these sides together is like this wonderful balancing mix, because it's the mix of two different perspectives. That's why we need the male and the female within us, because both sides comes with a different perspective for us. You know, if we're sitting all in our female side, we may be lacking reaching for those strength parts of ourselves. We may be living in fear and staying there. We need the balance of our male. We might need the balance of our logic, of our strategy, to go out of the feelings and see other things. You know, equally, if we're stuck in our more male part, we may be not have access to the pain that we've absorbed, the sensitivity, the silly things, the things we want to dismiss and not look at. We have to remain strong all the time. That's our role. Keep it strong. So the discussion between the male and the female children, who are real people, really talk to them as if they are absolutely real. They will come to life because they are real energetic parts that make up part of our kind of dimensional jigsaw, our nagual, you know, our inner core self, our deep inner core self. They are the missing parts, you know, that we're trying to bring together. They are our missing parts. And our true mother, be it a wolf mother or perhaps a shaman mother, if you're a sensitive nature, the correct mother, it would be more of a shaman type of person that would have those sensitivities reflect the sensitivities of your children. We have to reflect the true nature of our children. That's the true mother. So the true mother will help us to help look after us if we were not lucky enough to have, you know, a good mother in our upbringing and in childhood historically. So talking to ourselves, and of course dark spirits, those that want to drag us into the negative so that we leak and feed them. You know, please see the videos on the dark spirits, because there's all kinds of energy that moves around us. You know, we're not the only energy in town. You know, it's like if you look at the forest, everything's feeding off everything else. You've got the ants, you've got the bugs eat the other bugs, those bugs parasite other bugs. You know, the tree falls, the tree breaks down, the bacteria breaks it down, the fungi break it up to manage your slices and munch that up. You know, even the oxygen, even the air, there's bacteria living in the... It goes on and on and on and on. We can't see the bacteria, we can't see pathogens, can't see viruses, but we know, we've been told they exist, they've been seen with microscopes, we know that these things exist. So the energy of this kind of negative fungi that feeds off our value leaks, if we have a big gap between our male and female and don't communicate between them, you've sure got some leaks then. You've got some value leaks because you're not going from A to B to A. You're not going from male to female. So there's a big chasm between the two. There's a big gap. And if there's a gap, a vacuum, something will come in and yum, 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 all that energy. It's free energy, free food, you know. In the awareness dimension, energy can feed off other energy. So we don't want to do that. We want to keep our children loved up. You know, if we are not talking to them and outsourcing everything, you know, to someone else's opinion all the time, it's a bit crazy, really. That's the madness, surely. You know, that's the madness. But yet we put more stake on other people's opinion, really, than we do our own, which is a lack of our own identity, really. You know, a lack of our own, finding our own true self, which we want to find. We want to find that true self and nurture that true self and grow and expand that true self. And talking to ourselves, you know, banishing our children, it's also we don't realise, by not talking to our children, it's actually quite a cruel thing to do. Once we understand that we've got these children, we accept that. You know, if you had a boy and a girl, would you make sure they never talked together? You know, of course you wouldn't. Would you make sure they played together? Yes, probably. Did things they both enjoyed? Yes. That's where our true power and our true creativity comes from, of course, when they're both playing together. And that's why there's a vested interest in us not joining these parts together, but our mother can bring this golden triangle together. You know, it's so crucial. And once we start having this little three-way conversation between ourselves, our mother, and our two children, it's a really wonderful thing. Because we start putting things in place we would never have dreamed of putting in place, pre-discussion, pre-talking. You know, come up with some amazing ideas we didn't think we were capable of. What a brilliant idea to try that. And it works. Yes, because you've worked together with the true self that you are, with your unique boy and your unique girl. We all have a unique little bundle of joy. We all have a unique set together to work with. We're unique in that sense. And so someone else's opinion is wonderful. We might have people's opinion that we trust. Why the hell aren't we trusting our own judgment and our own opinion of what works for us or doesn't work for us? You know, we might be agoraphobic. You talk to other people about it. Go and talk to a psychologist. Go and talk to a professional. Fantastic. Hang on a minute. Why? If we look at it, it's crazy from that perspective. Why the hell aren't we talking to ourselves about this? Well, because we've dismissed all the evidence. Well, I can't look at that, and I won't look at that, and I'm not going to look at that, and that's just embarrassing. It's shameful. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Hold your horses a minute here. You've banished your two children here. What they really need to do is get together and say, you know, okay, what's happening? What's really happening? Well, I go into a panic attack, and the male part is saying, screw you, it's embarrassing. Go away. Go away, I don't want to hear about it. That's got to be so unhelpful. You know, the mother, the correct mother, the more sensitive mother, you know, will say, you know, it might be a male who's agoraphobic, for example, you know, which brings so much shame. His masculine part has gone right over there, and his female's right over there. They're keeping them apart. It's just total embarrassment. You know, you're such a pathetic idiot, and you're meant to be a bloke. You know, all of this judgment on what's normal and what's supposed to be normal. Having this discussion and bringing them back together is where it's at. You know, what's actually happening? Is there a trigger? Is there something that triggers the agoraphobia? Let's really get to the root of the trouble. In order to do that, both of these parts have something to say. They have something to contribute that's so important that we listen to them. Even if we don't like what they're saying, the mother can help us listen to both sides. You're embarrassing. Okay, Right, okay, all right, it's hurtful, it's really hurtful, that's embarrassing, okay. All right, what's actually, dig deeper, not leave it and disappear and go and talk to someone else about it. Dig deeper then. Why is it embarrassing? Oh, you want to know why? Yes, I want to know. I love you, child. I care about you. I want to hear, like you would do with a child. There's suffering going on here. There's pain. There's something going on. I want to hear about it. Come closer. Don't go further away and be rejected and then just be angry and upset, and maybe take it out on other people and take it out on ourselves. No. Come closer. Let's hear more. Why? Why do you feel so unhappy with X or Y that happens? What is it that's really, well, it makes me feel right. That's what we want to hear. What is it making us feel? Please see the video on self-love, on how to heal the wounds. We really need to hear from the sides, the real feelings, just like you would in a conference. If you're having a chat with two sides at war, we'd really want to hear the opinions and the voice of both sides. And then we start to see the human side of this. I see. So you feel betrayed, or you feel they're disloyal, or you feel... So we're not looking at the outside, what's done to us. We're really looking in the conversation that we're having with our children. We're looking at the way that child feels and towards how that child feels towards the other child. You're an embarrassment. You just make me feel ashamed. I'm terrified though. I can't help feeling terrified. And that male child is going to come closer, not further away, because that male is still attached to this whole self. They're in the boat together. So the male part will actually, for the first time, hear what the female tends to absorb. The male part tends to put outwards. So the female part will tend to absorb pain or fear or this kind of thing. They're the great absorption paper towel kind of thing. With huge creativity though, of course, as well, and huge joy in their realm as well. So the male will start to hear the female's point of view because the mother has put them round the table, so to speak. The male will start to hear, that male is going to have empathy for that female child and start to begin to have some understanding. Oh, that's what happens. That's the trigger. Yeah, because those people always attack me, or I always just seem to get attacked in that. Right, I see. Okay. The closer they get, the more understanding they get, the closer they get together. And it's when the two come together that they create solutions. Wonderful solutions, magical solutions that the one would never have come up with alone. A child doesn't want to be roaming around the world on its own when it's meant to have a place of belonging in us. So don't talk to ourselves. What a frigging disaster that is. What an absolute disaster. Talk to someone else. Right? Talk to people who don't have a vested interest in you. Talk to people who don't care about you. Talk to people who are paid to care about you. Talk to really good friends. We've got that whole gambit of options, yes. But the main option I'm not saying that can be wonderfully productive, of course, but the most productive of all is for us to say, yeah, I care about you, all you part. I care. That's a huge expanse of value to do that. A huge expanse of our awareness to do that. I care. I want to hear. I care enough. Okay, we've got some horrible nasties, cans of worms within us. Nasty, wriggling, horrible things. Really vile things wriggling around inside us. But guess what? Let's sit down together quietly. Let's open that lid together. Let's really open that lid. And yeah, it's probably going to be pretty revolting, That's why we keep the lid closed. and seal it up with wax around the outside, you know, to make sure it really can't open. But, you know, as we get older and older and older in our life, you know, our strength of keeping bits in place don't get quite so strong. Those bits sort of fall off a bit. And little things, you know, little worms start peeking out of the tin, little holes start developing, and if we're not careful, if we haven't willingly gone there to open our can of worms, it'll start opening itself, you know, and maybe in catastrophic ways. We'd like to, ideally, let's choose to go there ourselves and do it with love. And bringing our mother with our children does it with love. And I suppose that's the difference, really, is that if we are doing this conversation ourselves, we are bringing self-love onto the plate, if you like. You know, other plates are wonderful, yes, but what about our own plate and piling it with self-love? I want to hear, I'm going to put that bit of cheese there. I want to hear what you're going to say, no matter how bad it's going to be. I want to hear, and I want to hear what you're going to say and how out of control emotionally you might be, female, with all that you experienced. I want to hear it. Come here, come closer, let's listen, let's hear, see where it's coming from. That's a plate of self-love, which will only result in a hugely increased personal power, which means you'll start to, it's a process. You'll learn this process of talking to yourselves. And each time you have then a problem that comes up, you can then make the time, make the love, put the plate in place, get the big plate out, and really put the things on the plate, sift and sort and organise. And that's how we come up with solutions to all of our big problems. You know, and the problems will keep on coming, yes. But if we've got this wonderful communication system, we're setting ourselves up to deal with them positively. No matter what's thrown at us, actually, we can deal with it all. No matter how horrific, we can deal with it if we do it together. You know, it is our journey to do so, to honour ourselves like this. It is an honouring to do it. It is a great loyalty, and it is a great sealing up of value leaks, you know, no longer being that colander where we're leaking out all of our value. To have this gap between our little boy and little girl is this, you know, we may hate the female, hate the male, keep them at the distance. This is all part of the same game. We play the same game internally that we play outside. So we'll have the same relationships to the feminine and to the male that we're having to our own feminine and male. So we don't talk to our female, we don't talk to the female properly. You know, we don't engage with our male, kick it out, we have a distant relationship with the male. It's all repetitious, it's all reflective. It's all reflective. So our problems, we can really start. This is the really healthy way to deal with them, is to talk to ourselves.